I'm Kalia, and today we're finally teamed up with Mad Free's founder and activist, Michaela Angela Davis. Yay! And today we're going to have a candid conversation about the natural hair movement, Black women's relationship with our hair, and just really all things Black girl magic, and we have plenty of that today. Michaela's foundation, Mad Free, is presenting hair tales, which tells the art of braiding, as well as baby hair sculpting and basically anything that entails that. And they also feature, hair tales also features the master braiders, ancestral strands, and baby bangs over here. And these styles will actually be at Afropunk Brooklyn this weekend. So if you have tickets in between your sets, before salons, definitely make sure you check them out.
Right. You want her to see these braids.
Yes. So Michaela, can you tell us what inspired you to start Hair Tales?
So Hair Tales is basically the vagina monologues, but about hair. So it's exploring Black women's identity through the lens of hair. What started it actually was kind of a tragedy. I used to do a lot of commentary on CNN around Black tragedy, right? Mm-hmm. And so I've been on consistently, and after Charleston, I broke. I think it was just the repetition from Trayvon to Sandra to, it was just so much, and I had to study it, right, to give it context. And the horror around Charleston just was, I think, beyond my capacity. I had hit capacity, right? And I came home and I was like, I have to do something that's about Black girl joy. I have to, or I'm not going to survive. I have to get in the business of telling stories about what connects us, right? Not in a superficial way, but what is it that is this universal metaphor for our strength, our resilience, our dopeness, our creativity. And it was hair. Whether you from Dakar or Detroit, whether you Oprah or Shanika or whatever, we have a very specific culture of hair, and we hold stories in our hair, and we hold history in our hair, and we hold hysteria in our hair. And the natural, it's a combination of this second wave of the natural hair movement, that the digital phenomena really blew it up, from YouTube to meetup groups and hair porn, I call it. When those girls just first came out on YouTube, yes. I would watch it all night, yes. With no sound, yes. It really was porn for hair. And then we we've watched it grow and become this phenomena, but also it has stayed in the media too with drama. Mm-hmm. Of whether it's the military or little girls being sent home from school in South Africa, or some Kardashian calling her,
trying to mimic these same styles.
Calling cornrows boxer braids, that's sacrilege. You can't take cornrows. Calling boxer braids. No, but so it's all of it. So it's it's history, but it's also pop culture. But part of it is I realize that people don't know who Black women are. They don't know our complexity. They don't care to know. They haven't done any research. And so in a way to kind of communicate who we are in a way that is affirming to us, entertaining, but a way to inform others. Because this is where you and your friend Becky separate. If you and me and Ashley are going to the store, I'm going over there, she's going over there for our hair. We can buy the same hair bag, we can buy the same lipstick, we can both, tacos. But when it comes to our hair, yes, it's different. It is. And so if we talk about our hair culture, maybe you can know us better. You can know the struggles, the resilience, right? It's a metaphor. So it came out of this movement really to get into how to talk about us in a way that is palatable to others and interesting and entertaining. Because people, I know this cameraman don't know what kitchen is. When she's I'm renovating the kitchen, he's what? That means she's doing something new with the hair at the nape of her neck. Right?
Those nappy naps back there.
Right. Or my British friends call them peppercorns. But that's accurate. Think of it. What is a peppercorn?
Little peppercorn balls.
That's kitchen.
I like that better than nedges. People are calling them nedges these days.
I never heard that.
Oh, nappy edges?
Well, just like the edges.
No, I'm sorry. Like, what is
The edges in the back of your neck. So,
the edges of your neck. Okay, I get it.
That makes sense.
See, I went straight to nappy. Nappy isn't an N-word to me. I like nappy. My hair's nappy. Like, I use nappy. Some people don't
Happy
like
and happy.
Yeah.
Right.
That's really interesting because depending on who you talk to, a word like nappy would be offensive. A word like kinky would be offensive. So are there black hair terms that you would consider offensive, or should we just try to embrace them all?
Good and bad. Those are the only ones that really are problematic to me. I like nappy, I like kinky, I like coily, I like curly, you know, but good the good and bad is diabolical in its inception, right?
Yeah.
And so those are the only terms I have problems with. What about y'all? I mean, when you do hair, you have women's like lives in your hands every day.
Yeah.
So are there any?
I think it's depending on the person and how they react to it. You're right. You cannot say I have good hair, bad hair, or we're gonna have to talk about it. We're gonna have to pause and inform,
That's
educate.
something I struggled with a lot because I went to a predominantly white institution growing up in elementary school, middle school, and high school. So a lot of times when I was younger, when it was time for those pool parties and I was like, okay, let me get my swimming cap and let me make sure everything is braided up and tight, I was like, I have bad hair. I can't get in the shower and wet it and then get out and just walk around. I have to style it. Even now, even natural, I can't do a wash and go because of the texture of my hair. So for me, it was learning to really just love my hair. And I went to Howard University. You want to talk about hair porn? So you want to talk about hair porn?
Oh,
Right.
girl.
Freshman year, walking around, and I had my perm. I had my little cute cut, and I was like, by senior year, I need my fro to be popping. And it's just about self-love. It's really self-love, and I didn't have a lot, aside from my mother and my godmother who would braid my hair, I didn't really have any examples around me to say, love your hair the way it is. So it took time for me. It really did. But now, like you said, there's no such thing as good or bad. You just have to learn to love it.
Right. And part of it is education. Like, we have not known we came here and like there was not a comb for us. There's like, here's some water and some grease, right? And we worked it out. Like, we had pink lotion for 3 decades.
Yeah.
So
and that
Blue magic.
which is, so it's really part of, a lot of this is just education. Because also I want to be super clear, I am not anti-relaxer, I am not anti-weed, I'm anti-removal from yourself, right?
Yeah.
So part of it is we've been taught to like have someone do your hair, like, and cultured in the idea that it's a problem first. Like, you start, so straighten it and then we can rock, right? Like, so change your culture, your texture, and then we can style or cut or whatever. So when you're walking in with it like it's bad, that's what this generation has flipped. Like, how your hair grows out of your head is the fact that became revolutionary. To rock that is in itself is problematic, right?
And that's one thing I preach to my clients, because like my heart broke when she just said this. I can't do wash and goes. The number one thing when you go natural or go back to natural, it's a self-love journey, right? So you can educate yourself, but you're educating yourself on yourself.
Right.
So that's something.
And I was about to say, girl, we're gonna talk to you later.
Okay, please
Because part of it is our texture is dynamic, and that's also really new, meaning that it changes with the weather, with the hormones, so it doesn't just fall down.
Yeah.
Right? So you have to learn like what products, what to do wash and go. Because everybody can wear wash and go, and it depends on like what texture you respond to, and a lot of times you're just not used to seeing what your hair looks like. Because I started wearing my hair natural in 1991. Because I used to put a texturizer through it, like it was the 90s.
Right.
You had to have levels. Right? You had to be able to have this side lay down. So, but I did it because I became pregnant, and to this day, there's no FDA regulations around relaxers.
Wow.
These are like really serious chemicals, and so I wasn't sure whether there would be any neurological damage as a result of using relaxers. And I asked my obstetrician. Well, no, I asked the doctor. I'm paying him money. So he came back with a stack this big on bleaching and permanents, meaning the stuff that white women did to their hair.
Yeah.
There was extensive research. There was none on relaxers. So I said, I'm not going to risk it. So I stopped running the relaxer. I never wore my hair bone straight because I'm too light-skinned and I have blonde hair. So if I had straight hair, you know, people would I would be mistaken, and I wasn't ready for that emotionally. So, so I just stopped relaxing my hair because I didn't want to risk any kind of problem. And the research has shown, I mean, like always, Black women will do their own work. There is some neurological damage, but mostly to practitioners from breathing in the relaxer. It doesn't seep through your skull into your blood. Yeah. But when I saw my daughter, her hair, what it looked like when it came out of her head, unmolested. Yeah. We called it freedom hair, and I was like, I want freedom hair. Yeah. So I started wearing my hair like that, and it became my signature. Like, I was one of the very few people in the fashion industry that was of color, and I was known for my hair, like, that girl with that hair, right? Yes. So it became something that I used to struggle with because I'm black and light skinned and blonde and nappy, and so people don't put blonde and nappy together.
They don't.
So it was confusing.
Yeah.
Like, because my texture was black, but my color was what we've associated with whiteness, right? And so that my hair also had become my metaphor for the complexity that I interjected into a space, right? And so having other people obsessed with my hair became this lens, and it is what we talk about. And what I love about this experience is that this is how we do. Like, we will do hair and talk about our families, talk about our feelings, talk about culture. This is a sacred Black girl space.
That's like with my clients, like I adore my clients, and I adore like these conversations because that I have with them, these moments, because not only is it therapy for them, but it's therapy for me. You know, because I'll be honest, I heal up a lot of some inside things that I'm trying to just like go through, and I'm asking my clients for advice, and they're asking me for advice, and we're just like kikiing, just having fun, and like for me, it's like they tell me stories about their hair, and I've never heard like some of these stories, like some of these I've never like experienced, and I'm like, wow, this is deep,
This whole process, it reminds me, we were talking about this earlier, it reminds us of our childhood.
Exactly.
I remember
sitting between my mom and my auntie friend's legs, and I used to be so tender-headed growing up. So I would like, the fact that I'm sitting here and I'm not even making a face, shout out to Sojourner.
So wait a minute, explain to me. So you just thrown out another term that I'm not picking on our cameraman.
Oh no, you're
in this room that I know is like, what is tender-headed? Please explain for those.
It is just when your scalp is just a little sensitive. It may be softer than others, and when you are getting your hair braided, you are braiding your hair into your scalp. So you're creating a bit more tension than any other style. So you're gonna feel it. And
that's what tender hair is.
Exactly.
But Tamara made a great point earlier. She was saying that when you braid, you see the bumps pop up, and that's when you know it's too tight, right?
Yes. What I do is I sometimes the client may not feel it automatically, but I see it, So I'll ask them, I'll braid their hair, and I'll put the rubber band or whatever, or just do the braid, and I'll ask them, I'll say, is it tight? And they say, oh no, it's good, and I'm like, no, I use my own judgment and I take it out because I know that the next day they're gonna feel it.
Pain.
Yeah.
It's like the last.
It doesn't burn. It doesn't burn. No, you're fine.
I have had scabs due to just letting it sit because I'm like, no, I want my hair straight. It's gonna look so good after the fact, but then you take it out and you rinse it out in the sink. I'm like,
but see, that too is a metaphor for us. Like, we will take as much pain as humanly possible, right? To just get through too, right? Like, I remember can you feel it? And you know what's burning.
Oh, you know it.
But you know, at the end, the end result is going to be flawless.
Yes.
At the same time, you shouldn't really have to go through that to get through it.
Right. Yes.
Like that's the learning process that we're going through.
It is.
Just, you know, we're getting there. You know, the whole natural movement is definitely helping us to have healthier, you know, decisions.
You know, they called it creamy crack for a reason. Like, it was very hard for me to let go of it. I was like, that straight hair, it looks good on me.
So how long have you not been chemically treating your hair?
I stopped putting chemicals in it when, I want to say about junior year of college, but then I let that transition. I didn't do a big chop.
Right.
And a big chop is when you cut out essentially the rest of the perm and you let the natural hair grow on its own. But I'm short hair on me. It's not really a fan of me personally. So I said, you know what, I'm just going to use protective styles, braids, weaves, and just let the perm grow out and let my natural hair. So I've been like fully natural for about 2 years now.
So you know, it's interesting. I've talked to hundreds of women from like at Afropunk, at festivals and college campuses, in Paris, literally talking to hundreds of women. And one of the things that I've learned is a lot of women do get radicalized in college. Like women who have been, because it all works together, right? Like you're learning about history, you're around other Black women, so it's interesting, a lot of people start getting relaxers around between 9 and 12. And then if they have let them go, it's usually in college. So having these conversations is also, there's some anthropological work in it too, to like discover like where we make these identity shifts and how does our beauty connect with where we are in our lives. And so again, there's so much information in our hair. Like when you were saying that you're looking for like that is such an intimate thing, to be that close in someone's scalp that you can see where their pain is. And this is again something that is so like deep Black girl culture, like how we get in our heads. It's not a removal process. It's not like blow drying and curling and sending you away. Like there's like memory in your fingers, and like y'all can't see, but there's like art going on. Like this is not just like you're not just getting braids. You're getting creativity poured into you, right? And that's I'm loving that braids are having such a moment now. Braids and twists and. Because it's just super dynamic and beautiful, but it's also, you can't police this. Like our bodies are places that, whether it's trying to take away our reproductive rights, just trying to straight kill us, whatever, how we present and perform beauty is something that we have agency over, right? And Black girls now, because of Instagram, whatever, how we're able to share that, we're doing it in such full out ways. And you know, Solange gave us that, you know, an anthem. Like, don't touch my hair. Like, which means, like, you can't touch this.
You can't.
Right? Like, this is where, like,
you don't understand what it means to me. Like, it's who we are. And I mean, NDRE said, you know, I am not my hair, and I feel what she meant in that. But at the same time, my hair is a part of me, and I am my hair in a sense, because I can be anything I want to be with my hair, and that's why I love Black hair so much. It is so, you want to wear it straight, you want to wear it curly, you want to wear it kinky, you want to have an afro, you want a jerry curl, you
all at the same time.
Okay. One day you have one style, the next day you have another style, and people are like, oh my God, did you cut your hair? Oh my God, it grew so fast overnight.
Have you all ever had like gone to work and people like? So we were talking about how Instagram is giving us trickery. Like this was like some kind of sorcery in her hair. But in having to be in spaces where there aren't a lot of Black girls, right? You walking with your hair. Have you experienced where people, because it is so confrontational, that this is your culture walking in? Have you had like real talk, have you had like experiences at work or whatever where people are just like, what's up with that?
At a job a few years ago, I decided to transition, I think early last year, and I was, you know, trying to figure out what style I wanted to do in between, and I was really hesitant about braids because I knew all the questions that would get asked, and I was afraid of like people like touching my hair, even though like you shouldn't. You know, like it really did hold me back, like those inhibitions. But after a while, I just stopped.
But see, why this is so important to share widely is like I don't think that people really understand all the negotiating, shape-shifting that Black women have to do,
Yes.
like to just go to school or go to work.
That's
But
true.
you were talking, when we first met, you were telling me about how you were working in more established beauty spaces, and how they didn't want you to wear your baby hairs, or they didn't want you to wear
No,
braids.
I had to fit a certain look that was not me. I couldn't have buns, I couldn't have braids, I couldn't have baby hairs, and their whole thing was curly hair should not be manipulated. And that's like totally the opposite from the truth, right? Because we have to protect it, so we do protective styles. Sometimes we want to be free, so we do wash and goes, and it's all different forms of manipulating. So
That's
at a
the fun
certain
of it.
point- Yeah,
That's
that's the
what we
point.
manipulating.
That's
Yeah.
the point.
Right.
So at a certain point, I just couldn't take it anymore, and I just started my own thing. And my own thing is an exaggeration of everything that we like.
Right.
It's like this fun, like Disney World of like extraness. It's like bring your braids, bring your beads, bring your baby hairs, bring some wine. Just kind of.
It's great because it can hold it all.
It's a safe haven. It's definitely a safe haven.
It is.
But sometimes we have no choice. If you really think about it, we ended up, you put a perm or you flat on your hair, you go outside and turn yourself up.
Oh,
So it's like we have no
it's
choice. Our hair really
heartbreaking.
changes
Yes.
without us trying to control it, So we have to do what we need to do in order for us to feel beautiful. And if that's going to put some product in it to keep it from frizzing up, then we'll do that. But we still just need to consider our health.
But it's also really efficient. Like, I'm busy AF. Right? And having braids for this summer has been so efficient. Meaning, it's just really smart. So if I sit with you tomorrow, for 2 hours, whatever, 2.5, 3, whatever, 4. Then I'm good for like 3-4 weeks. And so it's also just, again, a metaphor for how, Black women figure it out. It's like when you look in the refrigerator, there's like a tomato and an onion, right? And next thing you know, there's stew, there's dinner.
For 3 days.
For 3 days, you can feed a family on a tomato. But it's also the efficiency of braids and the efficiency of cornrows is really stunning to me. Like I had extensions for the first time, and I got motivated. And I was like, I was so feeling myself. Like
She definitely did.
I was feeling myself.
Oh my God, her reaction was so interesting.
I'm 50 years old. Like, oh yes.
What kind of style was it?
I was lemonade.
Lemonade.
I was
Lemonade
like,
braid. She
with
had
it.
the color, she had the length,
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
But what I realized, I was very, very, like we did Essence Festival, I did all this work, and the extension hair held my hair down more, so it wasn't as fuzzy.
Okay.
So it was really smart.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, oh, this isn't just fun and fly, it was smart.
We're not gonna get into details,
Okay.
but there's definitely some of that going on over here.
Okay. Okay.
Got
No, but it's just also really smart because there's a lot of time that we spend on our hair that I can do like a concentrated time, or even while we're doing hair, I'm editing, I'm working.
Yes.
She's doing my hair, and then I'm good. So it's creativity, it's efficient, it's cultural. It's like there's all this packed in that is just really like super dope.
Yes, I've had clients, when clients sit in my chair, we're going for about like 4 to 6 hours.
Yes.
If you want a crown braid, maybe like an hour, but like you really go a long time.
And that's what you have. That's a crown braid.
Yeah, like this is just a crown, just the front of your hair. You get some crown braids, or you could just kind of put your puff out in the back, and you don't really have to do the front because it's gonna frizz up. You can just tie your head down at night, go for about a week or 2. But like we go for 6 to 7 hours, and all my clients, they have laptops in front of them, some of them have food, we have all sorts of things that we
community.
do,
Yeah.
And it's fun. It's
That
a fun
relationship you build with your hairstylist, like
Exactly.
and
Oh,
at first it was my
real.
mom and my aunt friend, and then as I got older, I was going to the salon, and that
Mm-hmm.
salon, it like you said, it can be an all-day process, but you really build a relationship and a bond with your stylist.
You do.
Just like you said, you look out for their scalps. Even if they don't tell you it's too tight, you'll be like, no, I see the bumps.
You can't-
I'm gonna do it for you.
Yeah.
You can't hide anything from your hairstylist.
You
Exactly.
can't.
You know what? That's real. I've had people who would like. There was one of my interns used to fly to Detroit to get her hair done.
Oh yeah.
I'm like, Mommy, you live in New York. She's like, it's like you're gynecologist. Like you are not
Yes. I had somebody come from China.
Wow.
See,
that
right there.
You wish.
And she hit me up on Instagram like, wait, maybe I can meet you in New York.
Yeah.
Like, she really did.
It's like on a wider scale, like you see all these styling apps, like, you know, the styling apps where you can like have a stylist come to your house. But I was literally just telling someone that like that isn't. I mean, like there are
like handy, like
Glam Squad. Like you have apps where you can just like dial up a stylist and they'll come like wherever you are.
Oh yeah, you
but like
another one.
Lucci is one, but like I feel like they're not really used like among us because we have our go-tos.
Well, also that
It depends on your lifestyle.
That's a little too intimate.
Like you can go on a date. Like I didn't do Tinder before some strangers. But speaking of apps, actually we've partnered with Swivel Beauty, Black women.
Nice, yes.
So they're taking the appointments for Anastasia and Tamara at Afropunk. So it's really cute. So it's like all this like squadding up. Like that's also what I feel happens when we're doing hair. Like we're talking about what we're doing and how can we work together and how can we create community. So there's these Black women that figured out Black women all over need to figure out how to book hairstyle appointments. So we're super excited to work with them, especially like it's a new city for Anastasia. So it's like and part of what we're doing this weekend at Afropunk, which is AKA Black Heaven, is we're doing hair as performance, right? Because there is a performative and artisanal like experience of it. So your Sunday, your Saturday, so from 12 to 2 it's going to be a sort of performance, and we have this beautiful photographer who's going to be shooting film, and then from 2:30 7:30 they're doing speed appointments for the festival goers. So it's also, we want other people to see the beauty of performing braids, right? And the beauty of creating culture in this sort of public practice. And so bringing the culture of doing hair and which is a metaphor, the culture of Black women, into performative spaces or into spaces where you don't necessarily think that they should be. Festival ground, in the academy. I've had talks at Ivy League schools while people are getting their hair comb over. Because it's also, this is how we create community, and this is how we tell stories, and this is who we are. And we've been in the shadows, in the margins, because also people will see you pop up to school one day with your hair down to you, like, how did that happen? So we're giving you a peek, like, look at what's happening here. Like, this is the whole thing. Like, we don't do, like, what were those Chrissy dolls? Like, where you would pull it out the middle of your head. Like, people were like, what did you actually do? Like, how did you act? Because you're like, oh, I had a fade 2 weeks ago.
Like how?
Like I get it, but like walking through the world, they're like, oh my gosh, she's a witch.
My
My
husband is so confused. It's hilarious. He doesn't get it still, and I live with him.
And that's really why, to bring it full circle, that's really why I've chosen hair, because men don't get it, white women don't get it, Asian, like anyone who doesn't have this texture hair. It's like, I don't really understand it, and I don't really understand you, because it's complicated and it's intersectional. Like that word, intersectional is about us. And so our hair really represents that. So the more of this we share, the more understanding folks will have. That's the intention, right? The intention is to do this in this public, broader way, not so much to break our sister circle, but to break this lack of understanding us, lack of understanding. Another thing, like the election just really took me out. Like I'm still having problems. I'm having a major problem. But 96% of Black women did not vote for Donald Trump. 96%. Hashtag trust Black women. Okay. What that means is you listen to us. Like listen, like we can see these bigger pictures, but what you realize is that, they still don't get, like the DNC still doesn't get what Black women did. They still, you know, so there's a lot of politics around our identity that is hard to explain, and I don't just want to be mad all the time. Right? Like,
you just want to be, you want to be understood.
Yes, and so I'm like, if we can talk about our hair, it's an on-ramp to talk about us. Right? And so this is what we do. We talk, we eat, we talk, you know, we share who we are and our complexity and our capacity to hold ideas through our hair.
Yes.
Can we talk about the difference between appreciation and appropriation?
Oh, girl. That's a whole nother.
That's another.
Actually, I have the series of talks that I do now on here. It's called the Appropriation Conversation.
Wow.
And
I remember that.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. You were there.
Atlanta.
It was we were in Atlanta, and then I did Harlem Stage with Francesca Ramsey. Hilarious.
Yes.
And then we're gonna do a big one in Atlanta with someone I'm not gonna say what you say to me. Okay. Heard it here first. But this idea of appropriation, it's a big one, because part of it is, and this is why the hair is so triggering, and why I think there's so many restrictions around it, because, and this is hard, it's hard to say to a group of people who have been the center of beauty, you can't do this.
Yes.
You can't. Your hair, you can't do this. Like, this is not gonna, like, you go to the islands, you see people pay $10 for their cornrows and their beads, and by the time they're on their way home, it's done. Because the texture is like silk. Like, our texture is like wool, like cotton, like fibers that you can weave. And so when you don't have that texture, you can't do these styles, your hair. So at the core of it is this deep, utter jealousy or supreme, like, there's something really, really intense that happens as a result of not being able to do something and being told you can't do it. And so when you've created a whole culture and taking other people's culture and trying it on and seeing whether you like that Taylor Swift, like that, I can't, we'll talk about that later. But the hair is a metaphor for that, right? And so when you are taking it, saying and this is where the appropriation comes from, because like I would want to look like us too, like it's fly, right? So I don't have any problems with people wanting, you know, braids or cornrows or whatever. But when you act like you discovered it, like the Columbusing of it, right? Or not bothering to know our culture, not bothering to know that we have been fired, we have been beaten, we have been because of it. Because of our hair, we have been looked over and marginalized, and then you just dip in when it's cute. And so and to negate our history, that's the part that hurts. Not that you're trying to have boxing braids, like I just said, how efficient they are. Like if I was an athlete of any sort, I would braid up my hair. Like it's just smart. But you can't say you started it, Mom.
And all we're asking for is credit.
Exactly. It's to be sensitive.
It's never a problem. I can't say what you can. I can't say you can't wear braids because you're not black. That's not the case. But when these articles
want to, let's
be honest. If we're being honest, absolutely.
All right.
But if it comes to,
I'm not being honest. In 2020.
But when these articles come out, when they're co-signing, yes, I started the boxer braid trend. No, you did not. Now, if you easily said, you know, I've seen this style of African American women, I love it, I understand why they do it, and that's something that I admire, and that's something that I would like to do. Great. Do whatever. No, that's your prerogative, so be it. But when you try to make it not even try, when you say that it's your own, when you say that
then now it becomes a trend.
But it's also, I used to be a beauty editor. You're a beauty editor. It's lazy work.
Yes.
It's lazy work to say that this is a starting trend of something that is like that you can just research. So part of it for me is when I see a magazine editor, whether it's Allure or Vogue or whatever, talk about cornrows are new, I'm like, you are a lazy editor.
Yes.
You know, and then if someone claps back, because sometimes I don't fault people for not knowing. there's been no effort to know about Black girl culture in any institution, anywhere. Right. No one needs to know about us to advance, right? You could be a beauty editor at Refinery 29 and not know anything about a Black girl, and you could be at the top of the food chain. You can't do that. You can't get here and not know anything about Eurocentric standards of beauty, right? So when there's a path of success for you that doesn't require you to know about us, why should you? Yeah. So I don't even fault when people don't know the origin, but when 100 Black girls, I'm talking straight to you. When 100 Black girls on Twitter are telling you, or Instagram, 1,000 Black girls on Instagram are telling you this is us, just believe them. That's the only, just listen. So I don't even get mad when they don't know. I get mad when editors don't know, because that's your job.
I do get mad when editors don't know, because
when editors
in journalism,
don't know.
Fact checking and research is a part of your job.
Absolutely.
So if you're not fact checking and researching, you're not doing your job. So why should I even trust your publication?
Right. So for me, again, if you're a professional, if you're a beauty editor, no pass. If you're just a girl with cornrows and going, oh, look at my new hairstyle I discovered, and you get dragged, just listen. You've been given an education. So I don't fault that person for not knowing the history of her hair. A beauty editor, no pass.
Just the journalism nerd in me needs to know, from your perspective, do you think that it is like necessary to include like a footnote whenever we write about cornrows and braids? Like, should we include footnotes like, this is the history, this is where it stems from?
Well, it depends on what the story is, right? So I think that part of it is because you don't want to make it so academic that it stops being beauty and fun, right? Yeah. So there's that part. But I think it really depends on the story and who the audience is, right? And so, and also we have to give people permission. This is new Black girls being centered. Like, so there's a part of it, like, have some compassion for your audience. I mean, we can kiki about it. Like, we can talk about them in the beauty salon, right? To get it out so you can go to work and be whole. But part of it is also, I think, giving your audience permission to grow with you, and that you have to, because repetitiously for decades we've been told that this is the standard of beauty, right? Like over and over and over again. So if we're just 2-3 years in, right? Like Beyonce just been ruling for how long? I don't know.
Since the beginning of time.
Yeah, she just no, but I mean, like in this public way, like where people can look at in a mainstream way. Beyonce, Rihanna, like Black girls are like in the center of a beauty conversation now. Yeah. So it's taking people a while. Yeah. So part of it is as a what did you just call yourself? A journalism?
Journalism, yeah.
You have, just as an OG, have some compassion for the ignorance of our culture with your audience. They don't know about us.
Yeah.
And there's nothing compelling them to do so. So it's your job, right? To just keep putting the stories out regularly. Like in the way, instead of like, we don't want to kind of make Black History Month philosophy on our hair. Like, it should be just included all the time. But when you see that there's this lack of understanding, every once in a while, like anything else, like, there are stories about the history of the beehive. Like, they stop and they do this whole beautiful thing about watching the beehive from 1935 to the 70s, right? So every once in a while you might need to do that with one of our styles. Like, look at this whole trajectory of, of locks or twists, and there's so many styles. Yeah. But I think that if you kind of, and this is one of the things that is hard with just all this negotiation around Blackness, is that you don't want to bring academia into every moment, because then it's not fun anymore, right? And then people are like, oh, Black girls are so heavy. Like,
I'm about to say, we already get that all the time.
I know.
Always mad.
I know.
It's tough to like speak up when you like have that that cloud over like the cloud that people think you have, like.
But I mean, I've just been quoting Solange all day, but one of my favorite lines in that album is, "I got a lot to be mad about."
Okay.
Yes.
Like,
yeah.
Right? Yeah. So there's a part of me too, like, you know, the auntie in me is like, it's okay to be mad and to be frustrated because it's a frustrating place.
Yeah.
But part of it is being strategic about it. You don't want to pop off in the editorial meeting, right? Or you don't want to pop off in your, board meeting when Becky says some dumb stuff, right? You call your girls, you talk down. And for me, because I got receipts and I don't owe anybody anything, I can say it for you. Like, I'll say it, right? And that's part of understanding where you are in it. And this is because a lot of Black women have problems with how to negotiate their hair in their culture professionally, right? When they're, entering a professional space where they're just beginning to be an associate and not a senior or VP, right? So that's very real because you don't want to come in there like fist up right away, but you have a strategy, and that's why we have your group chats. Because group chat, like somebody, like there needs to be like a whole documentary.
I saw a Huffington Post article today about the power of Black women in their group chats, and I was just like, yes.
I mean, it happens.
I don't know what I would do without them.
From the White House to like, the projects. People are like Black women find a way to get together and help and heal each other, and that's really what this is, right? And you have to be really, strategic about when it is to talk about your culture, but you do have a responsibility if you are in a space, if you are, to speak up if something is like, I remember it was Gabby Sidibe was on the cover of Elle and her edges looked crazy.
Oh yeah,
I was so
I remember that.
mad. You remember? See, it still hurts me.
Because, I was so upset.
How did that happen?
How do you let
Why didn't somebody not say something? Like, you can't do that. Like, not the cover, right? So there's also time when you do have to be brave to represent, because a lot of times that's why you're there. But you're also not. You don't want to be like the Black girl spokesperson. Like, when everything's Black, they turn and look into. Like, you answer for all the people.
That's what it was for me growing up. Like I said, I went to a private school, predominantly white. So whenever those conversations of race happened, they would always be like, "Well, Sojourner, how does this make you feel?" But like, how does
your name is Sojourner,
so I really couldn't escape it. But even when they said, "How does that make you feel?" that really meant, "How does this make Black people feel?" And I was 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, I'm like, I don't know. Like, I'm trying to learn myself. Like, I can't be the spokesperson for Black people as a whole. Like, I'm still trying to learn as I go.
The burden of that is so real. And that's, there's a lot of research around how Black girls are perceived to be older and are given more responsibility than their white counterpart earlier. And obviously, we know the Black boys are read as older. That's why a Tamir Rice can happen, right?
Okay.
But with Black girls, there's this lack of girlhood that happens as a result of how people perceive you. And that's also part of, I hope, the work of this generation, is that we free Black girls to be girls, right? And then we can have fun and we can be silly and we can not have to hold, like, these burdens are just it's too much, right?
It's been like that for so many years, It's like, we need some
I just
type
want
of
to play
break.
with your hair. I do. Like, I've been sitting here watching it grow. Like, it's amazing. I'm sorry. I know this is something that deep, but your parts in the back are like, they look like they're beautiful. They look like a constellation, a star.
Even in history, Black women used cornrows and braids as maps.
Thank you.
So they could travel, so they could, like, this is.
Isn't that dope, y'all?
Like, it's not just a style. Like, it's so much more.
Exactly.
And it's kind of like the equivalent of the Irish fisherman sweaters, where the pattern of the knit is to, connect you to a clan, or to, like, if you were lost at sea, they can know who you belong to because of the pattern of your sweater. Like, that's also with cornrows. But it's interesting because my grandmother was very, very, very triggered. I cornrowed my brother's hair for his afro, because that was also what you did in the 70s. You cornrow all the men in your life, you cornrow their hair so their flow, their fro could be fluffy, like the Silvers. Google the Silvers, you'll see what I'm talking about. Anyway, and she was so triggered because she was sharecropper. Her family was. And if you belonged to certain families, they would braid your hair in a style to identify to whom you belong.
Okay.
So it's complicated history because to me that was triggering Jim Crow to her, that a boy had cornrows, but we were like, no, we just want fluffy afro tomorrow.
Right.
So there's all this history again in our hair, like that your hair would be braided in a certain way, so they know where you belong, like cattle, right?
Yeah.
So there's that part.
To that note, is it right or wrong to call like certain styles a trend? Because you see like the Fulani braids and crown braids and like even myself, like I've written like trend stories on like you know, beaded cornrows or whatever, but like I felt a little bit funny because it's not a trend, because it's like our history.
Yeah.
You know, but this is where your instincts come in. But sometimes history has trends, right? Like food has trends. Like again, I think because of this heaviness of race, we're having to negotiate things that most people don't have to. If it feels right, then say it, right? Because also there are moments where certain hairstyles are popular and there's moments when they aren't. And that's what the definition of a trend is. But it's not a new trend. It's not something that was discovered. It came back. Because people were wearing, you know, beaded hair, like Peaches and Herb, or like Stevie Wonder, or like, you know, that, I love that, again, Solange, that video with her just shaking her beads. Like, that is like Patrice Rushen. Listen.
That was inspiration.
So we have this history, but all fashion does that. Like, it recycles itself and it comes back in, you know, a trend, or like, you know, there's always been cupcakes. But like 10 years ago, it was like the discovery of cupcakes. Like they got trendy, but no one is feeling like, oh, cupcakes are. So I feel like trust your gut, right? And find your voice and how you write about it, because you can say even writing this is probably like, I'm feeling a way. And that's interesting to me. Like I would, as a reader, I would love to know. Okay, here's your straight story, but like, okay, side note, Black girl. I'm feeling away. And I'd be like, oh, that's interesting. So, you know, use your voice.
I think that, I think it's always good to pay homage, you know, to where these styles came from, because like, I do have a lot of like clients that would come and say, oh, you know, I want the Fulani braids. And I like that, you know, because we're paying homage to the Fulani tribe that actually has brought that, you know, hairstyle about it. So excited. Very nice.
It's cute, right? She's so cute. Her baby hairs are popping.
Not yet.
She didn't even lay him down. She didn't even lay him down yet.
No? Girl, what?
Oh,
hold on.
She hasn't even got to work.
It hasn't started.
Like you see, like right now, like if she had put like, you know, two cornrows coming down the side, those would be considered Fulani, right? And then you see how like the middle's going back, and then if she had the sides going down, that's considered like the Ethiopian or the Eritrean tribe, you know? So it's like, to us, we always remix, I think, these hairstyles, you know? It's like, we're gonna add our own little touch to it, you know, because the Fulani braids, they don't really come from back here and down here. We remix that. It really comes from up here down. Like this whole part would be braided up, and you have your little pom-pom, you know, they have their stuff, their fro that comes in the front. So it's like, we're remixing these hairstyles, but we're also paying homage by calling them the Fulani braids.
That's what we do with everything. We remix. That's what hip hop is, right? It's all remixed,
and it's okay.
Right, and I think that's that is an African instinct. Is to take something and change it and remix it, and that's also a definition of genius, right? Is taking something that has existed and presenting in a way that you've never seen before. That's what we just do. And because our hair can do so many things, the hair is such a great like example of how we will remix. Or like, you know, I think it was Salt and Pepper, like someone showed this photo, like they literally in 3 of them had like 12 hairstyles in 3 people, right? Like this ability to take, and it looked right. Like how do you have all that going on and it still look natural? Oh, thank you. It's water, y'all.
You're not that time's up yet.
Not yet. It's a long road though. Yeah, it's all about the combinations. Whenever it's the weekend, it's like, all right, I need the braided front with the sewing in the back with the baby hands. I need some cuffs.
Wait a minute. Oh, no, okay.
Yeah.
I thought it was like, okay, I'm learning. What's a cuff?
Well, she's gonna have some cuffs.
All right.
I am too, though, right?
Yes.
And you can keep adding them. Have you seen Eva Marcel's braids?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
That's how mine went for Ethel. That's what they were supposed to be like that.
It's like it's an art installation.
Yes.
And she keeps adding like crystals and oh my God.
And like
so
people will come into the salon and be like, can I get the Eva?
Yes.
Can I get the what's her name? Like Gabrielle Union, and then they have the other one. What's her name? She had the faux locks, the goddess locks.
Megan Good.
Megan Good.
Are y'all too young to know about Justice braids?
Poetic.
Yes.
But actually, it was Regina King in Boys in the Hood.
She did.
She was the first one to have box braids on the silver screen. I remember when I saw her. I'm like,
Yes.
oh my God. She like a regular black girl was in a movie.
Yeah.
And like that was breakthrough to me. And I'm friends with John Singleton. I'm like, to this day, that's what I love you the most for. It's like you put box braids
On the mat.
on a black girl, like black from a distance, like Regina King.
People will say I want poetic justice braids.
Exactly.
But wait a minute, I'm giving you some history though. But Boys in the Hood came first. It was Regina King first, and then
So we're gonna say, can we get some Regina braids?
Right, and then Janet had Justice braids. But let's be clear, while we talk about history, it was Boys in the Hood.
Like that moment of representation for me, like that stands out is Moesha. Like seeing
Can I take it one step further?
Come on,
One step
micro
before,
braids.
when she did Roger and Hammerstein's Cinderella,
Yes,
that
she
was
had
my
it.
first time seeing myself on the screen, and she
Yeah.
still had. It was a mini micro braid she had at the time, but that was my first time. Like, wow,
Yeah.
somebody I see, and it was Cinderella at that.
Yes.
Like, oh my God,
Yeah,
I
that
love
would
that.
have so much.
Life
to me.
changing.
Yes. I remember I watched it and I was like, all right, mommy, I want those micro braids. And she was like, you can get those, but just know, those take hours to put in and those take hours to take out. And I was like, it's all right. Yeah, they can. They definitely can.
And mine was mahogany. Y'all see mahogany? That's history right there.
Yes.
Where Diana Ross had those braids that were like going in like
Yes.
a.
Oh my gosh. So
But the fact that her hair just kept changing, and even did y'all see Step? The
Yes.
movie?
I haven't seen it
Okay,
yet.
so Blessing's hair changes every single scene.
Does it really?
Yeah, and this is like a girl from the hood, like, but her hair represents her desire to create.
Yes.
Her hair represents her desire to move beyond her current circumstances, right? And so these moments, and this is also very specific to us, where you see a hairstyle on movie screen and it's a transformational moment. Like, I don't know anybody else who go, oh my God, I remember that movie because I saw, Sandra Bullock's hair in a ponytail. Like, it doesn't mean the same thing.
Yeah.
Right? Like, what do you think that's, like, what do you feel our beauty in its absence represents? Like, when you go, oh, I felt like legitimized that a princess had braids, like what does that do to the little black girl in you?
I mean, it makes me happy because I didn't really feel all that beautiful growing up, especially especially in like a predominantly white like elementary and middle school, and like I went to school in Georgia, like the deep South. Like I used to live across the street from a farm, so it like, seeing that even now, like seeing like Lupita, on the red carpet with like, her 4C small fro, like it just makes me like, want to sit up a little bit straighter. Like I'm popping too.
You're right. I can do that too.
Yeah.
That's really what it is. In that same token, not that I didn't feel beautiful, because I did have my mom and my aunts and my godmothers as representation for me, but just the white boys, and unfortunately I went to a private school where the black boys didn't even really see my beauty. So even in that light, I was like, okay, maybe I should straighten my hair, maybe I should try and change my look up to conform to what the beauty standard is.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until I got older, like I say thank God for Howard University, I was like, wait, I am powerful, okay? Like, I am good. I'm fine. Right. I'm great. I'm beautiful. And it takes that time to love yourself.
Yeah. And media really is important. Like,
it is.
So, I mean, because the people would say, oh, love yourself, girl, or your mama can tell you you're the most beautiful girl in the world. And then you go to the playground and you're not validated, and you turn on the television, you're not reflected. It affects you. So, like, having Issa Rae in Insecure right now, where she's got all her girlfriends, like there is a weave, her hair's changing all the time, but so you get to see, or Tracy Ellis Ross.
Oh my God, I love
Can we have a moment?
Hair first.
Yes,
hair
always. It's been since forever.
Since forever, like since girlfriends, like
Which like race, I am who I am because of girlfriends. Don't ever get it twisted. Like,
I would say girlfriends, single, like even different world. Like that is a part of.
And they gave birth to like Yara and Zendaya. Like there's a trajectory of them of like, the fact that it seemed revolutionary to wear your hair that way on a major television show, but now like there's so much representation. I think like, or in Queen Sugar with Rutina with her locks. Like their opening scene with on their first episode was a close up on locks, and then it pulled out. I was like, okay, let's go. Like this is ready. Yeah, like ready. You start like
you said, let's go right when I started the baby hair.
You did.
Yes. I told her she has to hook up her baby hairs because I don't know if I can be as good as you.
But she said that's how you started, right? Like you started doing baby hairs for $1. Like what was your origin? $2. Oh, okay. Let me know.
Well, you charge to do baby hairs?
Yeah, in the bathroom at school.
Really?
That's
a hustle.
That's a hustle.
Listen, she started
the bathroom at school. I love it.
So how did you take appointments?
When I was doing mine, I used to have to bring all my stuff, and then during homeroom, because who's gonna sit in homeroom? I would go to the bathroom, and then
love that.
I love
it started.
That's the story.
That's hard. Like, this is like watching like someone with their paintbrush.
It is. No, I'm not kidding. So when I said we're doing braids and baby hair as performance, like I'm not. This is not a game. This is real life.
That's right.
It is beautiful. You're taking something that people were ashamed of and flipping it into like beauty. Like you think Becky's gonna try to get some baby hairs now?
She tried.
Because after FK 2 weeks, I'm like, are they gonna try?
But did y'all see Katy Perry try to do some baby hairs?
She had when they brush them down.
She has strands
and
of hair.
So forced. Lucy Hale has tried it too. Like it just like little strands just like gel to your forehead.
And baby, that's not baby hairs.
But Jenny from the block though. Listen, Jennifer Lopez. She gets baby hairs. Like, well, let me ask the expert. Jennifer Lopez is legit, right?
She.
Okay.
I'm
just checking.
I feel like J-Lo probably does her own. Like she's still.
I'm pretty sure.
I think she grew up in the Bronx. Probably with the toothbrush and everything.
Yeah. You gotta have that one toothbrush.
They're so beautiful.
They're so good.
I'm gassing me. Hold on now.
Oh my gosh, baby hairs. I love it.
Can you do my baby hairs?
Right, can you do it? Right.
I wish I had a scarf with me.
Have baby hairs.
My scarf is in my purse.
I have some baby hairs.
Everybody has baby hairs.
She's like, everybody has baby hairs.
You gotta pull out your tools. That's right. That's important.
You're gonna renovate my kitchen though. We have to coin that is straight from your mouth.
Yes, it
is. Renovating the kitchen means like a new kind of what is that called?
What's it called?
Nedges.
I don't like that. We're not gonna do that.
That's not a good word. That's like fetch.
It's not gonna happen.
It's not nedges.
That's just not gonna happen.
No, let's not make nedges happen. But I like renovating the kitchen. It's really beautiful. Can y'all see that? Oh my god.
Get into it.
Look at her little hands.
I'm about to turn.
You got a date tonight? Look.
Right. You need to go out on purpose, girl.
I got a party in Harlem to go to.
This is perfect. Uptown. How does that make you feel? Like, I mean, I know you can't see it, but I know when I have my hair cornrowed, like the first time I ever had my hair cornrowed, I was 15 years old. And I felt like a princess. It was the first time in my life. Yeah. And I had these beautiful white shells in it. And it was so pretty. And I felt so neat, but also really like decorated. Right. And I just felt like a princess.
I did. Something about having those beads on the ends.
And I was
like, shake your and it would hurt, but I would shake the mess out of my head to get those beads to dangle. I felt like I would just run. outside.
Just
so
run.
they could like flow in the wind. Because I mean, at that time, that was before
The
I
little
had a
plastic
perm.
beads?
Yes, the little, I had pink, blue, and a silver one, always.
Look,
It just got real.
Like, that's a
That's her signature. You better not do the same.
Never forget.
My auntie friend knew she had a big old bucket of beads, and she would always tell me, pick up
bucket
the
of
big,
beads,
a
I
bucket
love
of
that.
beads.
bucket.
And that was before I had ever, you know, my mom had hot combed my hair, but I didn't have a perm at that time. So that was the one instance where I was wearing my hair down and it would just flow. I could run and it would flow behind me, and like I felt like you said, a princess. Like I was just having those hands in your hair. It's just it's relaxing.
Yeah.
It is. And it makes you tell the truth. No, it's hard to lie when somebody's doing your hair.
That's not true. And you feel like the stylist knows all your business. So it's like,
That's what she
it's like
She's like, listen. I think you
I'm already from New Orleans. Y'all gonna tell me like, wait, hold up.
New Orleans. She comes with that juice.
Right.
The juju.
That's that juju, exactly.
That
That's that
juju.
juju.
She got that juju, so.
Something I love about this generation is that, like, I feel like when I was younger, like, I wanted to look like the Just For Me box. Like, that was my, goals. But now, like, I have, like, a little cousin, Maddie. She's 13. She's natural. She never plans on getting a relaxer in her life because of, like, what we were talking about. Like, all these influencers, like, all this natural hair that she sees on the red carpet. And, like, you know, I don't really see kids with perms that often. I mean, I'm sure, you know, they have them.
Just for me.
Yeah.
But you know, also I'm not anti-straight hair too, because also there are products, like there's smoothing products and the flat irons and stuff that work really well. You don't need to chemically change your hair if you want to wear it straight.
Yeah.
You just have to check the weather report.
But
you know,
But that's the beauty. Because
it is beautiful. It's like
it's interchangeable.
and it's dynamic. You can't get lazy with black hair.
Yeah.
You can't sleep on, just like with you can't sleep on us.
so funny. We just had a conversation last night. My best friend, he was talking about how embarrassed he is to wrap his hair.
What?
But he has to. He can't get lazy and go out and not wrap his braids. So we all took a selfie, all of us, with our hair wrapped, and it was a moment.
Oh my style. My mom always. We had a little song when I would have my hair wrapped. It was "I'm an African princess. I'm an African princess." That's me. And she always made me sing it when I had my hair wrapped because she wanted me to love myself with my hair and my head wrapped.
That's right.
So
it's
now.
still beautiful even if your hair does not show it.
Okay, and I remember I had a conversation once in college. I would walk around the dorm in Meridian. It was a co-ed dorm. I would walk around in my headscarf, and one girl would be like, "Girl, your scarf is on." I was like, "I know. I look good with my scarf on. Like, I'm okay with
you
it."
see now it's like, you know, everyone is rocking scarves now.
Yes,
you know?
yes.
Like whether it's like Shaquanda from the hood, right? She rocked her hood. I get it from you.
So what she just did was a hair tale.
Yeah.
She just told us one particular story that was a paradigm shift.
Yeah.
You know, and so that's kind of what the work is. It's like sitting down and having someone share one story and we get an insight into her, right? And we just had a hair tales live. Right? So
and guys, we could probably like have more hair tales all day. I know I could sit here all day, but sadly we have to wrap up. But I want to thank Michaela for coming. I love this. I want to thank our great stylist as well. And if you're at Afropunk this weekend, you know, say hi to me. But also check out Mad Free and check out these stylists in the Hair Village. And yeah, love your hair.
I'm about to grab my ticket because now I feel like I have to go and model this off.
Yes. Bye, guys.
Thank you so much.